the Himalayan blue poppies actually has a bit of blue and a bit of purple in it. And it made me wonder, I wonder if we could like, I was like literally thinking, I was like, I wonder if we could mix in some watercolor again or some alcohol ink just to add that slight tinge of the purple to it. Not sure how that's gonna work out because with crepe paper, it's essentially tissue paper. So just trying to be like mindful of that mix, but there were some really gorgeous pictures of the there are some really gorgeous pictures of the Himalayan blue poppy that had really beautiful gradients between the blue and the purple. Yeah, exactly, X-File. Oh, hi, you're streaming? Yeah, yeah. Let me make sure I stop by. I don't know how they know. I honestly don't know how they know. Because like, I sit in front of the computer for other things too, but they always seem to know anytime the camera's on. I could be streaming or I could be in a work meeting and they will show up. They will show up. Hi, how are you? She's asking for pets now. Okay. Chippy, you want to show the flower shape? No, you want to sit exactly on it? Okay. That works out as well. That's a slight note of sarcasm that does not quite work out for what I'm looking to do, Chip. Okay, so let's see if I can get... Can I have this one? Can I have this one? Thank you. Okay, so the shape that we were working with yesterday for the Himalayan blue poppy, typically I think we're going to sit between 4 and 6 petals for each flower. But this is the general shape that we're looking at. So we have a flat top, rounded edges, and then a very slow slope. Ma'am. I don't know what you would call that, but like the angle from the petal to the base is gonna be pretty, it's a long and slow angle, I guess. Yeah, you're just rubbing your face all over the camera, aren't you? Are you happy? Are you excited? It's just, you know, super casual. Super casual. Hey, that's not a, what is it, scratching post? What are you looking for? What are you looking for? Okay, but that's the shape. I think one of the things I did say is I want to reduce the size of the petal. You want to sit on my lap? No? Okay. Well, we're going to try to reduce the size of the petal as well. So I'm going to cut this down. And then what I brought out was some index cards, which are slowly becoming one of my favorite. Did you see how she perfectly sat exactly on top of the index cards? Like, I put the index cards down and she like, she ran to them. Oh, and the template is there. Wow. You wasted no time, did you, Chippy? Huh? No time was wasted with that move. She just hopped right over. Okay, well, we're gonna grab a different index card. And I guess we're gonna have to just freehand draw the template that we're gonna be looking at using. So again, what the template that she's sitting on ended up looking like after we did our folds ended up looking like this. I think we'll want, one of the things that I kind of critiqued myself was that I think I pulled right here, the center bottom part, I stretched it a little bit too much. I think it should have been less of a stretch so that this flower would have came out a little bit flatter, because a lot of the petals on the poppy are flatter. It's not as cupped like you would see with the rose or like with a tulip or even a peony. We ah oh, wait, what? Oh my gosh. Chic Zelda 1, thank you very much for the raid. Hello, welcome. Hi, how is everyone doing? Oh my gosh, a group of 15 on this day when I can't even craft because my cat's sitting on everything right now. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for bringing your community over. Welcome, Raiders. I hope you are doing well. Tell me, what were we streaming? What were you doing? Ben Cove, thank you very much for the follow. Cat does that too. Yeah, no, you missed it. Like, she literally, I had just placed down the template that I had made on the desk, and she literally, like, she saw it and she zoomed and she sat like right on top of it. Like, there was no pause, no hesitation. It was like she saw a grenade and she knew it was her duty to protect others from it. I was just sketching a chilled night. Well, that chill is exactly what we're going for here when the cats are not causing chaos. I typically do embroidery, but we're venturing out a little bit today. We are actually going to be working on some crepe paper crafts. If you're not familiar with crepe paper, it is essentially it's essentially tissue paper, and I think they put some kind of sticky residue on it and they fold it. And what that allows you to do is, let me grab a little sample piece. Maybe I can entice her. Okay, so I have 3. This little one, she's the smallest. Her name is Chip. She has a sister that we adopted from the same litter named Fish. And then within the last year, we adopted a kitten, and her name is Mapo Tofu. So lots of food-oriented names happening here. I wasn't, or I have everything. Hey, with embroidery, if you like illustration or painting or drawing, I kind of liken embroidery to being that variation. Okay, well, she moved now. I kind of liken it to illustration, painting, drawing compared to like cross stitching, because it's really it's free form. You have your line work, and then from there you're just filling in the spaces with the thread, and it's not as intimidating as I thought it would be, but it's definitely I have high respect for all of the embroidery artists out there. Once I started learning it myself, I was just like, there's so much more to this that I just simply wasn't aware of. It's not like, again, I don't think it's something that you should be intimidated by, but take it slow, slow and simple steps, work on a subject matter that's like you love, and you really enjoy, and I think it'll come from there. I've tried, but I got overwhelmed. Curious. Well, I can follow up with you, but I recently started myself embroidery. I think I picked up in December, and I think if you maybe start with line work, and I stick with 2, like I literally use like 2-3 stitches. I use the back stitch for all my outlines, and then I use a whip stitch, and then after that I just do like I guess they're called the satin stitch. So I literally rely on 3 stitches. I keep it super simple. And what I've been able to do with that, high five for food names. My cat's name is Mushroom. Yes, I had a Netherland dwarf rabbit, and her name was Pistachio. So like food names are all the rage with me. But with like this, so this is, I think, the last embroidery project that we worked on stream. And with this one, we're going to convert it into a patch, but it's literally, for me, it's literally just like a couple of 3 stitches that we're working on. curves, of course, are going to be a little bit more, if you, perhaps, I don't know, I guess like if you try drawing using straight lines only, that kind of gives you the idea of what you're looking for when you're doing stitches. Like with all of the curves of the little beans, the little toes, they're just a bunch of short, straight stitches. So we have this one. I have a slight bias towards my subject matters. I may enjoy cats quite a bit. So we have this bean. My current confession is I have so many work in progresses. So I have this piece that I was working on. This is a cat portrait that I'm going to be giving to my sister. And then I have a complimentary cat portrait that will also be going with it. This is a more complicated one. I would say complicated because of the color blending. With this one, we're doing a lot of flat colors. Dinky's a black and white cat. So it's just a matter of just doing the satin stitches from one point to the other, just back and forth, back and forth. With this one, you could see, well, hopefully, I'm hoping that you can see, but there's like some slight variations in the thread. I think we mixed like 6 or 7 different colors to kind of come up with this blend, and then I had to take a break because I can't, I struggle sometimes with differentiating between colors. So oftentimes when I am embroidering, it's going to be a lot of me. And if it's not flat colors and I'm doing blending, it's going to be a lot of me saying, hey chat, what color is this? And asking for them to help me out, like match the right color. Though I have found a couple of online tools which help reference the specific color name or code. So I can rely on that a little bit more. All the beans, yes, all of the beans. I feel like I'm getting a high five from that embroidery. That's exactly the feeling that you should be getting, all the warm and fuzzies. I have a couple. So it's going to be an ongoing series. But this is the first one that we did. This one I actually already made into a patch, and we set that up on, I put that on my partner's apron. So when they're cooking, they have like this little bean patch on their apron. And then we drew out her other beans. So this is all of Mapo Tofu. This is the Mapo Tofu series. All of her beans, we even did her back paws. How do you feel about in satin stitch? I feel like it's so simple in theory, but it's tricky when you do it. It's one of my go-to. I thought that's kind of how I felt when thinking about the long short stitch. I cannot master the long short stitch for whatever reason. It's very, very difficult. Yeah, these are the colors that we use for the chickpea project, this one. But for me, the satin stitch, I think I see it as simple because I see it as literally connect the dots. Like when I'm stitching, all I'm doing is I'm taking the thread and I'm lining up. Okay, this is one dot right here. That's my next dot. Bam. And then I have to come back down. So I'll like find another dot and come down. That's how I at least process it. I know the long short stitch is is similar in a sense, but with the long short, it throws me off because suddenly the dot isn't going all the way across the space. I'm stopping at a midpoint to establish like a short stitch, and it throws me off. It just never seems to look right for me. But yeah, the stitches that I like to use would include the back stitch, the whip stitch, and then the satin stitch for my fill. So the back stitch and the whip stitch I use for my outline. The back stitch to actually stitch out the outline, and then the whip stitch is to help curve out my outline, reduce like some of the gaps between the stitches, and then the satin stitch is just all filler. I just treat it like a paint bucket on Microsoft Paint, just fill the whole area. Unless I'm doing something which is blending, which is a whole different story. That requires so much more work. Why one you? Thank you very much for the follow. Why one you? Y1U. Thank you very much for the follow. Thank you so much for joining. And again, Sheik, thank you for bringing your community over. I really appreciate it. And for all the new followers and everyone sticking around, welcome again. My name is Goat. I don't think I formally introduced myself. I again typically do embroidery, but I like to dabble in a bunch of different projects. Oftentimes they are cat themed, which reminds me, like, another project that I recently started dabbling in. I picked up wood whittling. So I bought like a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't know. I like to like run around and see what sparks my interest in the moment, and then like I try it out. When did I start learning embroidery? I picked up embroidery in December, and I've learned embroidery very similar to how I learn everything else. It usually starts with me seeing an end product and being like, that's really cool. And then I like to look at process videos. So often it's just me watching like time-lapse videos. I often don't do research, which I probably should, but it's literally just me looking at a time-lapse, and then from there, it's like a puzzle that I really enjoy figuring out on my own. I think I learn better when I just do it. And that's how I learned embroidery. And then as I was doing it, once I kind of felt like got like the general hang of it, that's when I would spend some time doing a little bit of research. Oddly, the research comes after. I'll find something that looks cool. I'll look at a time lapse of it. I'll try it and be like, this is kind of weird. How did they do this? And then knowing what questions I have in my mind, that's when I'll then go look for a tutorial or something. So like when I started embroidery, I was like, let me see. So this was my first embroidery that I completed. It's a kit that I got from the art store. And then with the kit, oddly enough, it literally just like told you what colors to go there. And it was just all a matter of figuring out. Like when I first did this, I didn't realize that one of the things that you can do was separate the 6-strand embroidery thread into like mini strands. So I didn't know that. So I did this, and then let's look at my vegetable box. These are the fruits of my labor box, all the things in here that I've completed. So I did that template one, and then I was like, well, I want to do my own freehand project. So I took our emote and I did this one. And looking back at it, I'm very fond of this project. Very, very fond of it. But looking back at it, there were so many technical things that I just did not do well. Like this, rough. This, rough. I don't know what was going on with these edges. It was just like, I did a project to force myself to be familiar with it and then to be committed to it. And then after that, I was like, well, what do I not like about it? And how can I go about fixing it? And that's when I start actually doing research. But we do, again, lots of cat. Here's another hoop that I prepped. And then we typically also do, this is one of my first cat portraits that we did. And then I also do a lot of like Twitch emotes. So this is Sheep Talkie. This is my partner. So I did his emote. I have Eons of Ian, did their emote. Our most recent emote that I did for the channel, Crying Goat emote. And then I started dabbling into mixed media. Mixed media is the word. Started dabbling in that. So we did this piece, which is a 3-hoop stacked piece with a full embroidery background, like a small patch piece, and then another patched piece hanging on tulle or suspended on tulle. And we just kind of glued the hoops together, kind of figure that out. And then this inspired me to try working with tulle some more. Thunder, no problem. Thanks so much for stopping by. I appreciate it. but I felt inspired by tulle, so I was like, what if I actually embroider on tulle? So I took some tulle and I started embroidering on it, and this was rough. This was this is a challenge, and I'm gonna revisit it because, of course, but it's actually part of another multi-tier embroidery piece where we took simple embroidery, simple stitches. This is just our black thread with alcohol ink on the fabric in the background. We were supposed to do watercolor, but I couldn't find watercolor paint, so we did alcohol ink painting. And then we're just going to glue and stack these together as well. Which this might not be very exciting, but I'm very, very excited about how well I did that. This is the first time that I did a backing that was like super neat. So that's a big win. Like, to show you what my backings look like before. It's like this. Like, we evolved. That's character development. From this to that. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Had to leave. No problem, Sheik. Thank you so much again for stopping by. I really appreciate it. If you want to pick up embroidery again, do it. Like, it's, even if it's not exactly what you hope it to be, at least it's like, it's going to be giving you more information to guide you in your next attempt. But it's all about lessons learned. All about lessons learned. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a bit. Maybe a little too much, because I think it's more so the cats are just like, leave me alone. Especially after this most recent project, because the most recent project, I was like, what if I did beans? And then I ran around the house. Anytime I saw the cat like lay down, I ran up to her and I grabbed her foot and was like taking a picture of her beans. And she is just like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm not comfortable with this. So, but yeah, a lot of my learning, it's just, I like to, I don't necessarily like learning just in a generality. I like to learn when I'm asking very specific questions. So I'll find something that looks cool. I'll try to do it. And then I'll look at the thing that I did and be like, this kind of sucks. How do I make it better? And then using those specific questions, that's what I'll go look up and research and try to kind of build off of from there. Toe beans. But yeah, toe beans are like a recent favorite of mine. Yes, exactly. The references. And like one of the things, oh my gosh. Okay, so these are my favorite photos. The photos that I took of me running around, when I was running around and grabbing their feet for pictures. It's probably my favorite. Let me see. I take a lot of pictures of my cats, apparently. Oh, yeah. So this is a picture, like, she was just, this is Fish. This is my big girl Fish. She was literally just lounging, and then I ran up and I was like, let me see her feet. So just take a picture of her feet. And then Chip, she was sunbathing, and then I kind of just like gently shoved her over, and I was like, let me take a picture of your feet. And they're just like, what are we going on? What are we doing? And then yeah, this is when we were building out the templates for it. One of these days I'm gonna look through my cat photos and see if there was any feet. Yeah, because I want to make a whole series. I want to make a whole series of cat bean patches. Because it was so, I don't know, there's so much fun. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. It's like it's several steps. You have to take the steps of like simplifying, I guess is the word, but like taking what they look like and then simplifying it and then converting it into an illustration and then taking that illustration and converting it into a patch or an embroidery and then taking that embroidery and making it a patch. It's like this progression, and it's really cool to see it from the initial reference photos to the final product. Your numerous cat photos is what my phone looks like, but with pics of the doggo. Yeah, there's so many pictures of cats. And actually, I think I missed a message from you earlier. I think I might have missed a couple of pictures. Oh, me too. No, I don't always do. Wait, but you always embroider with a line art, right? Yeah, I typically draw line art on like a piece of paper first, and then I draw my illustration on paper, and then after I create the illustration on paper, I trace it onto the fabric, and then I follow that. But oftentimes when I'm doing that, I'll also deviate from the line art. So I think it depends on what I fancy. Name's pronounced Yi. Okay, Yi. All right, thank you very much. Wanted to make sure I went back because I remember seeing a couple messages that I missed. If I missed your messages earlier, I apologize. I also made a felted pin of a bean, and it looks so lovely. I want to make a million. Yeah. As soon as I made my first patch like this, I was like, it's game over. I'm just going to constantly be embroidering cat beans now. That's all there is. There's never going to be anything else. Yeah, working on I don't know, working on any new project, it definitely is just going to be, it's a matter of practice. I think some may be trained to be a little bit intuition. Like, I think that's a trained thing. That's just you applying many previous lessons learned perhaps from other areas to what you're currently working on, what you're looking at. So when I'm looking at, like, for example, when I was doing stitches, the way that I knew with curves, okay, it's straight lines. I've done straight lines before. I've drawn pictures where it's only straight lines, so I understand some of the angles that I need to be mindful of. So that kind of intuition is really just from, I think, lots of previous experiences that you've had, and then the talent is really something that you're applying, both a mix of that intuition and practice. I think that's what it comes down to. When I've gotten into felting kit not too long ago, attempting my first felting. Like the, what is it? With a sharp needle? What is that called? Yeah, like the sharp felting tool. It's like you're poking. I'm not making much sense right now. I tried that a little bit, and then I like stabbed my thumb really, really bad because I did not slow my roll, and I haven't picked it up then since. I think that was one of the things I was a little impatient for, because I wanted to like felt, I wanted to move quickly, and that's not really something that you should be doing. Yeah, sometimes I could be a little bit impatient with that. And then the other, I did a punch needle project before. Here we go. Oh, this might be a little hard. Here we go. This was just a portrait, and then I was gonna do like a decorative rug with this, but then I decided to convert it into a pillow, and it actually works out pretty nicely because the shape of it fits really well for my back. So that's another thing that we've done here. Can never do it, poke my hand. Exactly. That's exactly what I ended up doing. It was bad. It was a bad poke. And I guess that kind of brings us to where we are today. So we primarily do do a lot of embroidery. That's our primary craft, but lately I've been deviating a little bit, trying out a couple of things, because I recently moved. So when I was packing, I rediscovered a lot of my old crafting supplies, and I was just like, I want to do all of these things again. So we're kind of like going down memory lane for myself, going through some of my old crafting supplies. Like I have so much crepe paper that we're gonna make some flowers. Dry needle poking. I have single needles, various sizes, and multi-needle. Then it hurts just so it goes slow and steady. See, going slow and steady is my problem. I want to be done quick. I want to do it quick. I have a leather kitting. Hands are shaky. Yeah, I know you should take your time. Well, same thing with embroidery. You got to take your time with it, but I think that's a lesson that I'm getting better at. I think it's something I'm getting better at. Embroidery's definitely been helping with that. Just as a general question to chat, is anyone in chat familiar with working with crepe paper? That's the subject matter that we're working on today. And I can kind of talk through the whole process that we're going to be going through. Because what we're doing, again, we are working on a crepe paper flower. And with the crepe paper flower, so the subject matter that we're interested in working on is going to be the Himalayan blue poppy. And what we're going to be doing over the remainder of this week is kind of like starting it from scratch. So what that means is we'll be building out the template, kind of like what we're doing right now. The template will need to take into consideration the template's going to partially drive how the flower shapes turn out. So when we're crafting our crepe paper, you have to take into consideration the cut of the paper, and you have to take into consideration where you stretch the paper. And so a piece like this, so this is the base shape that we are going to be using for the Himalayan blue poppy. You have to cut the paper in a shape, and then from this you have to build on it by stretching the crepe paper in the right spots. So we did this yesterday. We kind of did a dry run yesterday, and I think we're pretty satisfied with the shape. The critique that I had with this is that we stretched it a little bit too much right here, where this finger is. We stretched it a little bit too much right there, so it's cupped a little bit too much. So we'll probably do less of a stretch there, because the poppy, the shape that we're looking for is like going to be a flatter petal versus a more rounded petal like a rose or a tulip. Enjoying it as I love the sound of stabbing, felting. It is very relaxing for sure. Like my best friend was getting into felting, and like she was doing a great job with it, and that's why I was joining her for a little bit with it, but I got a little impatient with it. But we're gonna go ahead and start working on adjusting this one just a bit by trimming back or reducing the size, because I don't want the petals to be this big. So we're gonna try to do smaller petals. So I'm going to maybe just cut off a little bit of like, try to keep the same shape. And this is just, we're freehanding it quite a bit, for better or worse. So once we create like the template out of the index paper, the next thing that I'm gonna do, so the shape's already pretty different right here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna test it out on the actual crepe paper, make sure that the shape still lines up with what we're looking for. Like right here, I could see that this one beveled a little bit more. And then we want to reduce this a little bit. This one might have been trimmed down a little too much, but we'll see. All right, so this is a template attempt. We're gonna go take this, we're gonna apply it to some of the crepe paper that we have, and then we're gonna like stretch it to see how well it works with the crepe paper. And what we'll probably do is we'll test it on one of the colors that I'm not that, when I was ordering the crepe paper, some of the crepe paper didn't come out the exact right color I was looking for, so we'll use that as like our testing paper. I was gonna say something, now I've forgotten or gotta go. So we'll go ahead. This one's already unwrapped, so we'll use this one. So I'm just going to cut out the length of the crepe paper. You guys are probably going to hear a lot of crinkling in the mic. Maybe ASMR, maybe annoying, I don't know. Hopefully not too loud though. But I'm just going to cut down the line right here. Also, Panda, hey, how are you? Yeah, so you'll hear the crinkle ASMR. With crepe paper, it's more more firm than tissue paper for sure. But it still is paper, so you have to be mindful of that. So we have the crepe paper, we have some nice unstretched wrinkles in there, or folds I should say. Is what we're looking for. We don't want to use crepe paper that's already been stretched ahead of time because it's going to impact how we actually are able to stretch out the paper. Canicle, hello, how are you? I also had a piece I've done wet felting. I've heard about wet felting. That's probably something that's there's so many things on the list. So many things on the list that I want to do. I'm well, Panda. Thank you very much for asking. Really appreciate it. I'm going down memory lane right now. Oh, and then the other thing, when you're doing crepe paper, you have to pay attention to where the folds are and what direction the folds are going, because you have to remember you're stretching the paper after the fact. So if the folds are not going the right direction, then it's going to impact how you're able to stretch the paper. So with this one, it's very important that I keep the center, which is kind of why index cards also work out, because I could use these guiding lines to make sure that I'm following the right direction of the crepe paper. No, that's perfectly fine. We have so many different crafters in chat. It's perfectly fine. It actually is nice to hear, because like when I'm crafting, something that I like to do is I like to watch other people crafting too, or just be in the same area. I don't know what it is, but it's nice and relaxing. Don't you worry about that. Yeah, we have a lot of illustrators in chat. X-File, the seed beating. Quinn has been picking up embroidery and recently started doing some art clay work with air dry clay. So this shape has definitely evolved. This one's much more rounded and this is flatter. So if we're looking at this, so that's going to impact the shape, but I think that should be fine because we are looking for a flatter area right here. So, and then with this one, so the stretches that we're doing here, we're going to stretch it. Looking at the front, we're going to stretch in this way. Then we'll flip it backwards, stretch it backwards. And then we're going to also do each of the frills up here. And I think I'm going to do the frills first because that's going to determine how low we go for the next stretches. Let me bring you guys a little bit closer. And again, with the Himalayan poppy, the picture that we have here, flat pictures, we're looking between 4 and 6 petals in between, but the edges of the petals definitely have like that ruffled look. So we'll be taking advantage of how the crepe paper stretches when we're applying that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go across the top of this edge and just stretch it in a couple of places. And then it's also important to pay attention which direction you're stretching it. And where you're stretching it. For example, with what I just did here, I didn't stretch the edge, I stretched the center of it. I stretch it a little bit further so that the edge of the paper still sticks together while the rest of this area is going to be beveled. So that's going to give us like that ruffled look that we're looking for the edge of the petal. See right there, it's already shaping up right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to think about the rest of the shape. So again, referencing the rest of the shape, we want it to open up in the back, and we want this area, we want it a little bit flatter, so not as much of a stretch. So this is going to be from the back, we'll stretch this area, and I'm going to do small stretches right now. Like that. And then I'm going to stretch this part to hold it up. And what I'm noticing right now, so when I go to wrap this around the wire, the floral wire, it's cupping too much of the leaf, meaning there's not enough of an angle between the petal and the portion where we connect it to the floral wire. So we'll need to actually trim that down, otherwise it's going to impact how this is. Or we could take advantage of that. Like the way that we tape it to the floral wire like this can also help us manage the direction of the petal itself. So we could be looking at something like this, which I think actually works out pretty well because it gives us the flat look of the floral, of the flower, and then it kind of supports it as well. So it's not just like a small sliver of paper. Now, when I'm looking at this, I kind of have a couple issues with the, hey Quinn, thank you so much for stopping by. Happy time zone, and I hope to catch you soon. Yee, oh yeah, I actually bought my felting kit. Wool, various colors, and a kit that includes eyes, needles, various sizes, hooks for charms, and a whole lot of stuff. That's not bad. The beginner kits are definitely like a good way to, like the inclusive kits are definitely a good way to like get introduced to a new craft and figure out if it's something that you're interested in doing. This one, yeah, I'm not necessarily happy with the shape, and I think part of it was because when we were cutting this out, we look back at this bottom part of the petal lost its shape when we were trimming. So if we're referencing back the initial shape that we were working with, this one, you can see it's a little bit more rounded right here, while this one's more like a flat line. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take lessons learned from this, just kind of move it to the side, and we're going to rework this template so that it has more of that rounded shape at the bottom, kind of more like this side right here versus this side, because this is too much of a flat angle right there. So we'll try to add a little bit more shape this way. And with talked a little bit about this yesterday, but with like when you're building a template for the petals or the leaves, a lot of it, unless you purchase a very similar with embroidery, cross stitch, etc., unless you're developing, you're purchasing the pattern from someone that's already kind of developed it. It is just a lot of like trial and error, so we're okay with that. What else do we like? So things to consider. We don't like the shape right here. I think we can probably add a little bit more shape up top. Let me pull up the picture, like a big picture of it. Yeah, I think we can add a little bit more shape. And then also something else I've noticed is that, so when I'm looking at the petal, we have the flower, right? We have the flower, the center of the flower. The petals kind of like loop out more circular than I originally thought. So they kind of look more like this when I was previously drawing something more like that. You could probably draw one side, then flip it over, draw the same side so it's mirrored. Yeah, good idea with cutting out the template. But I think we need to adjust the shape like this. This might be a little bit too dramatic, so maybe we could do like a hybrid between these two. So it's more like this. And this is, we're talking about like the end result of the petal. Or what we can do is we could look at doing, I said 4 to 6 petals, so we could mix the petals. We could have like these be the back petals, and we could introduce a couple of these more longer ones to be like supplementary petals as well. Why don't we try something a little bit more rounded? So what would that look like? That potentially looks like us doing less of a flat edge like that. It might look like something like that, where we create a flat edge across the top, another semi-flat edge right there, and another one right there. And that should give us the body that we're looking for at this bottom. And then we just continue this shape right there. So maybe that's the next shape that we try, roughly something like that, and seeing if this works. So let's do another case study. And we could probably draw like a smaller one so that we're not wasting so much of the crepe paper. But I do like seeing, well, the size. So size-wise, I think it's still a little bit bigger than I want. So yeah, we could probably cut this index card in half and try drawing out the shape. So if I'm thinking quite literally doing 3 of the flatter edges like this. And I'm also thinking by introducing these little shortcuts or dips in between this area over here, it can help exaggerate that ruffled look. And then this bottom part, I'll like round it a little bit. Kind of looks like a ginkgo leaf, right? I think that's a ginkgo leaf. Ginkgo leaf? Ginkgo leaf? Yeah, it kind of looks like a ginkgo leaf right now, the current template that is. Okay. So let's go ahead and take this shape and see if we can, we'll cut it out. What side do we like more? The other thing. There we go. Had to round that out a little bit right there. And as I say with all of my projects, this is by no means, I guess, the professional way to go about it. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right word. Technical? Let's just say that I'm just figuring out what works for me through a bunch of trial and error. I'm sure there is a more streamlined and recommended means of doing such. But figuring it out is part of the puzzle for me. That's what I really enjoy. So that's actually pretty. Okay, let's take this template. Let's cut out some crepe paper and then let's try it out. Okay, so we're going to cut out our little square. And I usually try tracing, or I try just cutting from the template to the crepe paper, because typically when I'm like tracing, sometimes I accidentally stretch out the paper. So I'm gonna just try to cut it nice and slowly without damaging the template too much, while also getting as close a shape as possible to the template. I could probably try tracing on it again sometime, but there we go. Let's observe our shape. So, you know, not the smoothest, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's round out that edge a little bit. Okay, and then we're gonna do the same thing. So we know the general places where we want to place the folds and we want to stretch the material. Again, referencing this one because I felt like this is the general shape that we're looking for. We're going to do very small stretches across the edge of the petal. Again, trying to replicate that ruffled look. Kind of like how that ended up being created across the top there. We'll rinse and repeat right here. And then, so this is one of the challenges that I was referencing when I was talking about the being mindful of where your crepe paper folds are. So like right here, ideally the stretch would have fanned out, so like the lines would have been like this. So like right here, this kind of just stretched out the length of the petal versus actually making it look more ruffled. So I don't think I quite like the stretching the paper right there. I'm also thinking that maybe this part should have been more rounded down this way. So that instead of the template looking like this and being as wide, like going ahead and preemptively like rounding out this part a little bit. That's one of my immediate or more immediate feedback pieces on this one. we go. Okay, so we have some ruffled edges now, and what we're looking to do next is we're trying to give it a slight cupped. Very slight. Like that. So that's going to give it some of that cupped. Again, feedback. I'm not necessarily sure if I like how round or how excessive this seems. Like it should, I feel like we should be trimming this part down. Which I'm tempted to give it a shot, actually. So let me actually adjust that a little bit. I think I do want to give that a shot. I think that looks better on this side. Looking at the petals sideways. So I'm going to repeat on this side. I think I liked how I cut this one more on this side. Yeah, exactly, X-File. Doing a little trim, just not getting too close to the edge, and being mindful of how much we trim, because you know how I get sometimes. I get a little antsy with scissors and I just keep trimming. So I think that's a better shape. Looking at the back of it, I definitely agree that this is the better of the slopes, this one compared to this one. I like how it has a little bit of that lip on the side. This one, looking out at the side, seems a little too drastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that feedback very carefully. Look at it. So we like this shape. I'm just going to, put a couple of visual cues for myself that will round out right here. Like that. I think it's that way. Okay. So I'm not going to cut this shape yet, or I'm not going to trim this template. I'm going to save this one because this is like the basis of what we looked. Instead, I'll draw this again and then make the adjustments over here. But I want to keep a template, like you want to keep a history of the templates so that as you are morphing your shapes, you could kind of go back to some of your previous shapes and figure out which ones that you may have, like, okay, maybe I didn't like how I was going down this path. I want to rework it, start from like this previous rough draft. So you want to always make sure that you're keeping a history of your templates when you are trying to develop a pattern or a template for yourself. So we won't mess with that one too much. But I think I'm pretty happy with how this leaf turned out. Sizing wise, where's my floral wire? Oh, it's on my lap. So sizing wise, I think this is pretty nice as well. In fact, I don't know, maybe I'll go a little bit bigger. It does seem a little bit smaller, but I think the shape is really starting to come together. It's at least looking more like what I imagine the poppy to look like. The other thing that I might do to try to exaggerate it a little bit is kind of like how I made these little divots in the side, like right here. This divot, I might actually do one at the top of this part of the flower petal, because I kind of like how it turned out right there. It just helps exaggerate it, but I don't want to do too many of them because otherwise it will just seem forced. So maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know yet, but this seems to be like the shape that we're looking for. And then again, color wise, we're gonna go use this color. So it's a slightly lighter color, a little bit more of the purple included in there. And I think that will match the poppy a bit better. Compared to like this color, which is a little bit more richer, and then compared to the other color, which is a little bit lighter. It was a little bit brighter outside. Now it's like getting a little gloomy. So let me bring this lamp over. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna end up looking at. Okay, so let's do more of this. Let's get more of the more of these petals going. Let's try to wrap up or like figure out what our final template's going to look like so that we can build from there. It snowed over here. Oh my gosh. This weather, it's supposed to be spring. I don't understand. It hailed again over here. I think I mentioned earlier Monday. I mentioned Monday and I think I showed you guys no, Wednesday. Today's Thursday. So yesterday on Wednesday, I mentioned that it hailed on Monday. And then I think I showed you the pictures, but it was like literal marbles. And then the same thing happened yesterday evening. It was hailing. Oh, geez. And actually, Nilly Line, let me see if I can pull it up again. Nilly. Look at this. What is going on? Like, I cannot believe what is going on with spring right now. Spring is just undecided or troubled. Spring is troubled. I was getting ready to mow the lawns. Yeah, I think you need to reschedule that. Reconsider those plans, because I don't think that's happening. Not the way that this weather is shaping up. Okay, so I'm going to trace a slightly larger version. Of this. And then we'll trim it down. There we go. Like, yeah, I was definitely, what was it? I think Tuesday night. I really, I'm perplexed. I really am perplexed by the weather. But like Tuesday, we was going to do dinner with the sisters. And I was like, you know, hey Google, what's the weather gonna be like? And then it was all, oh, it's gonna be like 75 degrees. So I was like, oh, perfect. And I almost wore shorts, but I'm glad I didn't, because as soon as we got outside, the weather dropped and it was like in its 40s. And I was like, this is not acceptable. I do not appreciate this. Now I am cold. Okay, so let me move this to the side into the trash pile. We're going to take this again, and we're going to take our slight abbreviations from it and adjust. make some slight adjustments to the template. Like I'm gonna make the, this is me going kind of off script once again, but I decided that I want to try to make these angles a little bit wider, because that looks a little sharp, right? And then the other thing, maybe I'll do like a small one in the middle. Like that. And then I think we wanted to bring in the sides so that they weren't such a sharp like that. Like that. Here we go. This is where it all starts. Just keep trimming. I even acknowledged the problem and I'm still doing it. Okay, let me take a step back from this. Stop it. Stop cutting. Okay. Yeah, scissors are my downfall. That's just how it is. Okay. A lot of template building. Okay, so let's get this piece again. What can I say, X-File? What can I say? There we go. Whew, okay. I say that and I immediately start cutting again. Okay, I need to stop. Let me put this template. This is the second one that we had. So let's label them. This was 1. This is 2. We'll put these to the side over here. And then we're going to do, again, the same stretches. I think we kind of nailed where the folds are going to be previously, and we're getting better with tweaking how sharp of a degree the folds are going to be. I keep saying folds. Stretches? I don't know. I don't know if that's the right word. But we'll kind of rinse and repeat. I think that one wasn't a good. Okay. And then a little bit of that. And then we compare. Okay, so I think this is looking cute already. I know these are drafts, but I think this looks cute. Look at that. I think this one, shape-wise, looks more natural. This one looks a little, yeah, I think that little divot did kind of help add to it. And I think the width of it works a little bit better. So we'll go with the second one. I do want to round out this side though. So I think one more version of the template and then we'll be there. And then we'll talk a little bit about the, you know, the assembly piece. But we're totally getting there. Okay. More index paper. More index card. So let's take let's draw this one out. And right? Okay. So traced. This is going to be 3. What did I say I liked? I liked how one of the edges were more rounded. So we definitely like the dip that was happening here. And then I think we liked this side of the petal more than this side. So when I'm looking at the template, I think we cut it this way. Where I think you might be able to see it. It's ever so slight, but the curve here, it's just crazy. I've drawn so many lines that I don't know which one I'm following. I think I want to make this a little bit lower. Actually, I think I want to make this one a little bit higher. I don't think we know what we want. We'll just let the scissors decide. The scissors are going to tell us what to do. We'll have... It sounds so weird to say, but we'll trust the scissors. The scissors will know exactly what we need to do in this situation. Oh no, yeah. It's okay. We're just gonna see where the scissors take us. And that should cure the indecision, right? There we go. So I guess that's the shape that we're going with. So let's move this to the trash bin area. And let's get another piece of crepe paper. And let's try out our third draft of this template. And see where that takes us. forget that I could just move the scissors so I don't have to like help make the cutting easier. Here we go. There we go. Okay, this is draft 3. Take 3. What we'll do now is we're going to do, again, same stretches. So we'll start our little middle sections here. Get these ruffles going. There we go. Okay, so we have all of our little edge ruffles in there, and then what was it? One small little stretch to the back, and then a bigger stretch to the front, and then we test. I'm gonna fold this wire. It's a little long. Okay. And I think I stretched it a little too much, but I also think that this is going to be the shape. So let's top down angle, side angle, bottom angle, other side. Yeah. And if we were just to imagine with the other ones, we got a pretty flower coming together. Look at that. I don't know much about flowers and petals and stuff, but that looks like a petal to me. Same, X-Files, same. This is starting to look good. Okay, so we are going to stick with our third version of the template, which will be this one. We'll spin up a couple of these. We'll spin it up in the, so after matching it a little bit, we're not going to go with this blue specifically. I think the color we're going to go with is going to be this one, because this is going to match the blue Himalayan a little bit more. But this color, I plan on doing like a little bit of like these little berries. So we'll talk a little bit about that in one of the future ones. You really liking this blue though? Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with it. It isn't the Himalayan blue poppy, but I think we're gonna have to find a flower that kind of matches this hue of blue. Oh no, which one was the final one? It was this one. Just kidding. Okay, so let's start working on the actual pieces, right? Let's get just a couple of these cut out in preparation for okay, this got creased a little bit. It should be okay. It should be okay. And I think I have, let's see. Where did my wire cutters go? Oh, man, I was gonna cut a little. Well, here's what we can do. Just to kind of give us our proof of concept. I wanna go through like the taping process a little bit. And then also I need to be mindful of time. I'm interviewing today, so I want to make sure that I'm not running behind. Okay, so I don't know if we'll have time to cut out the blues. Maybe I'll do that after. But we're going to tape this together so that we can see what it looks like, right? So, take this blue. Typically what I do is I tape the flowers exactly. Expo. We don't need to repeat yesterday. Whew. So I typically tape one flower at a time because it's more secure. But when it's the inner flower, sometimes I like to, you know, not a shortcut necessary, but I'm reducing the amount of material used. And that's my story. So we're going to do a little bit of this. Jado68, thank you very much for the follow and welcome. Please feel free to say hello or continue to lurk. Either is perfectly fine. If you've been hanging out for a while, I hope this is coming out flower-esque for you. We're gonna do a test run with the taping. Now, taping was probably the one of the things that I was not that great at. Heads up. Heads up. Okay, I'm wondering if I see a problem here. I might be seeing a problem. One, I don't know what I'm listening to. What is this music? Not what I'm looking for. I think the problem that I'm seeing is the base. I think the base, the petal is too far away from the stem. What are our thoughts? I think I might try to bring it a little bit closer down. Like that. Look better? I think that looks better. Here, we might have to tape it individually. I already kind of goofed right here. I twisted the floral tape too much, so it slid off the wire. Let me see if I can fix it a bit. Yeah, the floral tape is probably the part that I found the most difficult when working with this. Okay, so I definitely think we need to bring the base down, but if the base is like too far away, something that we may need to look at doing is actually adjusting our template again, which is going to sound a little silly, but I think we're fine like this. So let me cut out some tape right here. That. And then we'll just try to bring it a little bit further down. that. Okay. And I had another petal over here. So I do think we'll need to be mindful of the base part a little bit. But this is actually a good practice for me because I haven't done this in a while with the tape. And the tape was definitely the part that I struggled with the most. So fiddling it wise, I have to be more mindful of how I place it. Our flowers are going to be more like this, so we'll have less of a gap between these areas. So we'll be looking at doing more of these. This was our final. Wait, was it? No, this was the final one. This one almost tricked me. Okay. And you know what? Let me take, let me get... Oh, hello, fish cakes. Get a little bit of this yellow real quick. I want to test the, I'm gonna test this out real quick. How do I want to do this? I think I want to do it. I think I want to do it like this. Right? And then I'll Oh, hello, fish. Hi, I'm cutting right now. You want to move your whiskers so that they don't get snipped? No? You just want some added danger in your life? Got it. Okay. Here. Let me move this for you. Okay. All right, that's been moved. Let me move this for you. That was the first thing I thought too. Bye bye whiskers. Yeah, because fish does not care when she's headbutting. Hello, how are you? Okay, so we have this now, right? We're just gonna twist it together like that. So typically you would do this first, but I'm just kind of like seeing how things would look, right? Mama! Thank you so much for the resub. Hi, how have you been? Oh my gosh, we're going on 4 months already. That's amazing. Hello. What's all this papery stuff doing on my perch? Exactly. Fish is just like, I demand attention. I hope you're doing well. Oh my gosh. So I think, and then I think when I'm looking at the flower, these are not as, they're not like a, what was it, a tulip? Or no, peony. They're all like, peony is like all centered. But it looks like with the Himalayan, it's actually like flatter, which is weird. I have been well. I'm tired, but I think that's typical. That's part of how it is. But I've been really well. I've been rediscovering all of the old crafting supplies that I have. So I've been having fun kind of going down memory lane. Like we're doing some crepe papers right now. It's been great. I've been like following all of your work that you're doing. You're doing so many, like, I'm glad that you're like able to like try out different materials and the mixed media with your embroidery pieces. You're doing even more than that. It's just like the landscape piece that you're working on. But yes, I have been well. Just, you know, keeping my sanity, doing some crafts. Picked up some wood whittling too, which has been fun. All right, what's my time? 54. Okay, I'm gonna have to wrap soon because I don't want to repeat. I don't want to repeat yesterday where I was running late, but I need to figure out this. We need to think about this, chat. How do we address this part? Maybe if I did a bit of a spiral. Been in Michigan and then Illinois with the grandbabies. Oh, so you've been out and about. I hope everyone's doing well then. Yeah, I've been fortunately I've been able to hang out more with my niece lately. But work's been really busy this week, so it's also been like a rough balance. I want to figure this out. I want to figure out how to do this. I don't think I've been to Michigan or Illinois. But I haven't really traveled too much in state, I guess. But I've traveled a couple of places. I've been to California, Texas, Arizona, Wisconsin. And I guess North Carolina too. We need to figure this out. It's gonna drive me crazy. No, you're fine. Me too. I had lunch prep and I had to go. No problem. I actually have to go too because I need to I need to go to work. Oh, maybe this is the process. Just kind of like rough handling it. Something like that. Granted, this is all testing, so it's okay if it looks a little bit... Oh my gosh, I almost cut my pinky. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'm determined right now. I'm really determined to figure this out. So definitely supposed to do this before you add the petals, and you could see why, because I'm like handling the petals right now, roughhousing them a bit. The floral tape seems to be my arch nemesis. I'm like remembering the rivalry that we had before. Okay. This is a very rough look. Very rough look, but whew. Like this part, the tape didn't even hold it, so it's like hanging at the bottom, but that's okay. There we go. Does that look like our Himalayan blue? Now, but it would be in this color, because this would match the Himalayan blue poppy more. Oh, but Mitu, thank you very much again for stopping by. I really appreciate it, you hanging out with us today. Have a good rest of your day. My most amusing travel stories, I spent in total of 20 minutes of my life in Maryland. Were you passing through, or were you like in Maryland, hanging out for 20 minutes? Thanks, Mama. Manual fluffing. That's what nature does with the real flower. I spent 20 minutes layover in Texas once on my way to New Mexico. I think a state that I like waited in but didn't do much in was like, I think I was in Mississippi at one point when I was young. Like when I was a little baby goat. Really? I did not realize that there was like a stretch of land in Maryland that's only 10 miles wide. My sister-in-law, she recently moved to Maryland, so I've been there a couple of times, but like I haven't gone out and about. I've just gone straight to her house. Oh, my back. Yeah, my back hurts. Whew. Okay. How are we feeling about this shape-wise? So color-wise, I think we'll be able to match it a little bit better with this blue by switching it to this blue. I think there's another part of the flower that I need to be mindful of. Maybe I'll spend some time actually looking up the anatomy of the flower. Just maybe. Because there's a part of the flower that there's that the green little tulip part of it. Hey, Spatter. How are you? Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. You're witnessing our rough draft of the Himalayan blue poppy that we're working on. I think we finally nailed the shape down. We went through 3 versions today. That's perfectly fine. I appreciate you hanging out and being here. We started out with this, then we went to this shape, number 2, and now we're on number 3. So the lessons learned, technically we had 4 versions, because in addition to, oh, you know what I could do to like make it seem like we did more? Yeah, I don't know if that really worked, but we technically went through 4 versions, because the first version was this. So this was rough draft 1, then we moved over to this right here, and then we moved over to this one, and now we're settling on this one. The only critique that I have is I'm a little worried about how long the base is, so we might need to trim that, or we could just like, you know, tape it up kind of like what I did here. And then with the other thing that I'm worried about is here. Let me do this for everyone. Be a little bit easier. Not that. That's not what I wanted. What I want? This one. There's this part to the flower that I don't quite. So this needs to be more rounded. And how many petals is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, 4 to 6 petals seems to be the sweet spot for this poppy. I think we need to work on this a little bit more. This part. Yeah, I think we need to work on this part a little bit more. It just seems a little too bunched, but I don't know how we would go about fixing it just yet. Maybe thinner strips. Is that what we're thinking? It is a very beautiful flower, Mama. I think yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday, we just like spent a good amount of time on Google, just like looking up different flowers, or technically we started with bouquets to figure out what style of bouquet we were going for. And then we really leaned into the color blue, which I love the color blue. So we were leaning into the color blue a bit. So we started looking at blue flowers specifically. And then we found the poppy, the Himalayan blue poppy. So that's kind of where we are right now. They seem invisible until the end. Yeah, I don't know what they're called either. I probably should look at it. It's almost as if we need to do something where we like, here, let me cut a little. We have some scrap right here. It's almost as if we need to be able to take this and somehow like make the base part like thinner. But can you imagine like hand rolling each individual one of these? Or figuring out how to like make these parts a little. Ooh. I don't know if I'll be able to handball these little pieces up. The stamen. Ah, yeah. I remember that from like, what was it, like 4th grade science class? Oh, yeah. Rolling the top looks good. Rolling the top, okay. Like rolling it down a little bit. It's like having beads at the end. Yeah, but I don't think I have beads that small. Like this is where we need X-File and his seed beads. That's the size that we're looking for. There has to be a better way to roll this. Like, I don't know if I have the dexterity for this. Got lucky with the first one. I wonder if, here, let's just do this real quick. Let's do some really rough rolls real quick. Like, really rough, right? Oh, I didn't even cut this part. Right? And then let's just do some really, really... Oh my gosh. I was trying to roll them down into little... So they have the, like, the little balls at the end. More like a fold at this point. Okay. Okay. We're not going to do all of them. We'll just do 50% of them. And then what if we rolled this? Right? Right? Get out of here. Okay. That looks more natural, doesn't it? I mean, it looks, I mean, it was really rough and it won't stay. Right? But it looked a little bit more natural, right? Oh, man. Yeah, I think I like that better too. And even if they weren't perfect, it's just like the because they're all like mangled. We're literally saying that we like the mangled crepe paper. Ooh, yeah, it is -7. We'll be okay, X-File. We got a couple minutes. Yes, less mechanical, less planned, more nature-esque. I think we are onto something. Okay. I think... hi, fish, you're back. I think... oh, hello. Hello. Okay, she's also reminding me that I need to be responsible about work. Ah, so close, Rita. So close. Okay, so I think we're onto something. So what we're looking at doing, would be letting big girl get settled, right? We'll let big girl get settled. How are you? Yeah. Oh, what? We were just getting cozy. X-File, I have so much experience with just like being in a meeting and pretending like nothing's happening when the cats are like causing complete chaos in the background. Oh boy. Okay, so I think we're onto something. We're gonna go with like a bit of the more mangled look because it definitely adds like a nice texture that isn't just like so planned. So we'll need to think about that a little bit if there's like a better, like a smoother way to do it to give it some more consistency, I guess, at least in length. And then maybe to see a little bit more if we could get like the bald edges at the tips of the stamen, right? The stamen. Okay, so what we're gonna do for tomorrow's stream, we're gonna be swapping out, we're actually setting up the petals that we're looking for. So that's gonna be in this color. This one right here. So we'll be switching to this, which will match the color of the flower a little bit more. So it's a little bit lighter. It's actually like a really nice mix of like blues and purples, the actual flower itself. So we'll do something like that. We are going to look at how we're going to tackle the stamen bit a little bit more. And then also with the this piece, I don't know what that is. And I don't know if I necessarily... I have this green, which we might be able to use for that, but I'm not exactly sure if that's the right green for it. It's like a green yellow. So I have to figure out, does that add to it? What part of the plant is that? Is that the pistil? I remember a pistil being part of the flower anatomy. So maybe we'll use this green. I'm not exactly sure yet. Maybe. But we'll definitely work on the flowers a little bit. Looking at this one, I've seen a couple other ones where like the petals are more flat like this. But this one makes them look a little bit more cupped. So, and then right here you could see, look at this gorgeous mix of the purples. You have this beautiful purple here and this blue right here. This is such a beautiful flower. It's really gorgeous. But this one kind of shows you a little bit more of this part of the flower anatomy. Need to figure that out, what we're gonna do with it. This green actually, looking at this one, the green actually matches it quite a bit. So it's not that bad. Hey Kei-Shing, how are you? Just finished your exam? I hope it went well. I'm actually gonna be... I actually should be responsible and going to work in a bit, but I'm trying to do a little bit of critiquing of our draft for today. This is another one that we were looking at. This is the picture that I have in the project. Yeah, but this one looks a little more in the blue, but you can see the purple right there. But this is like a photo that's for sale, so I don't know how color edited it is. That's why I wasn't really relying on that one. I'm looking at this one, and I'm looking at this.